சிலபஸ் பள்ளிங்க மேம் HYALL வரும். Good morning. Yeah. Good morning. I'm very much here. Can you hear me, please? Can you confirm that you hear me? Am I speaking to Mr. Nicholas?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Yeah. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
grateful for each and everything that God has blessed us with. Myself, Princy, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, take pride in hosting today's event. Warm greetings to everyone present here. Firstly, I thank all our dear students for being a well-disciplined audience and making Day 1 orientation program a resounding success. I request Ms. Claren, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, to highlight Day 1 program.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Briefing you all about Day 1 orientation program. The host for the Day 1 was Miss Navita. Prayer was led by Degree Vice Principal Father Mervyn Frank. Welcome address was done by Degree Principal Professor Arokyaraj Nicholas. Followed by the presidential address was given by Director Reverend Father Victor Prasanna Martis. The program was divided into two sessions. Session 1, topic was based on communication skill and motivation. Introduction of the resource person was done by Ms. Priya, HOD of Department of Management. Resource person for the day was Ms. Nandini. She covered the topics relating to communication skill, listening skill, and aspect of motivation. And at the end of the session, various questions were answered by Ms. Nandini. And the session ended with vote of thanks by Ms. Merlin. Followed by session 2, the topic for session 2 was virtual life, style and career in automated world. Introduction of the resource person was done by Mrs. Shilpa Mohan, HOD of Department of Commerce. Resource person for the session 2 was Mr. Tulasi Nayak. He covered various topics on lifestyle and how to set up a career in the current scenario. And at the end of the session, questions were answered by Mr. Tulasi Nayak. Session ended with vote of thanks by Mrs. Aisha. Overall, the session was an effective one. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Before proceeding with the session, I would like to give certain general instructions. Students on YouTube, kindly leave a message in the chat box with your name and class. Refrain from posting unrelated messages in the chat box during the session. Questions should be mentioned clearly in the chat box. Thank you. Now, we will begin with our first session for the day. I request Ms. Navita, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, to introduce a resource person for us.
Thank you, ma'am. A warm greetings to everyone. Hi, Ms. Navita Angelina, Assistant Professor of Commerce and Management. On this occasion, take an immense pleasure in introducing the most talented and eminent person for the session, Dr. R. Krishnan Bhatt, Professor, Department of Psychology, Christ Jayanti College, Bangalore. Dr. R. Krishnan completed his doctoral degree in psychology from Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore. Sir has 30 years of industrial experience and 7 years of teaching. To his credit, he has 25 years experience in human resource and administration. Served various capacities in Indian Armed Forces, Indian Bureau of Mines, Hindustan Paper Corporation, and Bharat Electronics Limited. Sir has published good number of research papers in highly reputed national index journals and also participated in more than 30 national and international conferences. He has also served as resource person for more than 50 workshops and seminars in various institutions. Sir had guided 8 MPhil research scholars and served as co-guide for PhD program, and list goes on. So we are extremely happy and privileged to have you as a resource person for the orientation program. Thank you, and over to
you. Thank you, ma'am. I request Dr. Krishnan to take over the session.
At the outset, good morning to one and all. Am I audible? Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning to one and all. And I deem it my privilege to be a part of your orientation program in helping and guiding young future of the coming India to understand the complications, issues, and challenges that lie ahead of them. I've been asked to speak on blended learning, online learning, and learning as such. So before I would like to start my session, I have a small thing to share with you all. Most of us use the word learning in the daily context, but what is learning? How do we understand learning? It's unfortunately not an interactive session. I'd have loved to, have an interactive session and talk to students and get some of the answers that are interesting. But however, the word learning has undergone a paradigm shift. Right from the early times when humankind started building river valley civilizations till today, learning has been going on. Now, what is this learning? How do we say that we are learning? And when do we say that we are learning? We are seeing all the time, we are knowing all the time, but are we learning all the time? That is a question that we need to ask. The word learning implies a cognitive change in your thinking, in your perception, and in your outlook, which creates a permanent change in behaviors. And these behaviors should contribute to the positive development not only of the self, but also the society and the world at large. When anything contradicts this basic structure, then it is not learning. So learning, my dear friends, should always be positive, should contribute very positively to the self, to yourself, to people around you, to the society, to the institution, and to the world at large. I hope we now understand learning in that context so that, we will be able to navigate further in what we are going to talk. I'm trying to open my PPT. Kindly. Is it visible? The PPT?
Yes, sir, you can do the slideshow.
Yeah. Right. Now we come to what is known as learning. So I talked about learning. Now, if you look into Mother Nature gives learning to every organism on this earth. Every little organism has got its way of learning. And believe me, all the learning that takes place all the time is blended learning. It's not one source learning. It is not one type learning. It is not one episode learning. It is blended learning. Now let's understand what is the word blended learning. While it can be defined in many ways in the dictionary, in the structured definitions, but when we talk about it, we talk about it in a very, very broad sense. The Rig Veda says, let knowledge come from all sides. When we say let knowledge come from all sides, it means blended learning. Let learning come from all the sides. Let us be open to all the experiences. Let us be open to anything that comes to us, anything that life offers us. And in that way, we keep learning always. Learning is a continuous process. Learning is a continual paradigm. It is not one learning that stops. You learn, unlearn, and relearn. My dear friends, with the new developments that are taking place, where change is coming so fast, we need to understand that we need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. This cycle has to be constant, and the pace of the cycle has to be much more constant than what we think. So let's see what is blended learning. The Oxford Dictionary defines blended learning as a style of education in which students learn via electronic, online, traditional media, and face-to-face teaching. If you go back to some time, there used to be a lot of street plays, dramas, theaters, where learning used to be given in different modes. And these modes were very, very effective in ensuring that learning takes place. So blended learning is not something that is new, but only the method in which we are going to go for blended learning is going to be new. We are going to be using more ICT tools, electronic medias, computer interface, and other communication tools that are going to come in as part of your learning repository. Now let's see again what hybrid learning courses are and how it goes. The Sloan Consortium defined hybrid courses are that integrate online with traditional face-to-face activities in a planned, pedagogically positive manner, or what is known as constructive manner, in a way to impart education. Now, apart from this definition, what is online? And from where this online has come, this needs to be understood a bit. All the while, in the traditional type of education, we have a brick and mortar building. We have a lot of resource people called teachers. They come with a lot of books. There's a blackboard, there's a chalk piece. Even before that, there was no blackboard, there was no chalk piece. People used to recite stories, recite, lot of episodes. There used to be discussions. There used to be street plays. There was music, sound, body movement, and a lot of integrated methods of communicating. Even today, if you go into any of this traditional forms, you have the Kathakali, you have the Yakshagana, you have different type of art forms which are very, very educative. They all have in them an element of education through different performances. And any of the theaters, if you have gone, all of them have a message. All of them have a way of communicating. So blended learning is something that we need to keep in our mind. And it has been happening all around us. But now we are going to a wholly new medium, a wholly new system. So let's see what is that system. This system is called ICT. ICT is integrated communication technology that has got a lot of subcomponents in it. This could be computers, it could be what is known as social media, it could be what is known as offline, online courses, it could be any other aspect which is integrated to communication networks. And one more thing we need to understand, that these communication networks are integrated in a holistic way. They connect each other and connect from each other thoroughly. There is no one center in this. Every particular place is center. It is a very difficult thing to understand. There is a concept in physics called centripetal forces and centrifugal forces. When we study these two forces, if all the forces are emanating from the center, okay, there is one way that everything is centered around one place and flows to different places. But also there is centrifugal, which says that everything from the side is connected around and flows to the center. I can give you a small example. If you take a typical bicycle, you see there are a lot of spokes that is connected to the rim. The spokes and the rim both have got a role. Whatever is the stress and weight, it is equally transferred along all the 360 degrees so that there is no one area which has got more stress. So it is equally divided in all the places so that what happens when you rotate it, the rotation becomes very even and it keeps continuously going. So if there is a pressure in the center, if there's a pressure in the side, each of the spokes connects it to the center and the center absorbs it. So both of them interact with each other to connect each other and share it. Today, your ICT technology is something like that. Every single system connects to the center and every center connects to the single system, and any single system could independently become the center also because of what we know as cloud computing. The ability to store vast amounts of data compressed in any particular place, which is universally accessible from any of the subsystems. I hope I'm not getting too technical, but this is a very, very common sense approach to understand what is ICT. So it goes to say that anywhere in the world, anybody has got access to so much of data, to so much of things. So that is what has changed the very way in which we communicate. It has revolutionized how we deal with information, how we use data, and how we interact and process the information that is flowing to us. The word that is used today is there's an avalanche of information. The avalanche is so much that we have so much of information, we don't know what to do with it. But then comes the most important thing known as analytics. The ability of ICT and artificial intelligence to analyze data, structure them within microseconds, and give it to us in a meaningful way is what that transforms everything today. While human intelligence is unbeatable, artificial intelligence is so superior to human intelligence when it comes to processing of data. Please understand the word processing of data. It is not to do with the other abilities of human mind like imagination, abstract thinking, and other things. Those things, even 100 years later, I don't know if artificial intelligence could catch up with. But artificial intelligence is much more superior when it comes to data processing and data analytics. These two areas of data processing and data analytics is what makes, learning today different, knowledge today different, and education today different. So we are no more in that stage of looking for information. Information is lying all around you in abundance. But to integrate that information and make it knowledge is what is the challenge. I hope I'm able to give you what is exactly the what is known as change that has taken place and how we need to handle it. Now, like I was telling previously, education was also always hybrid. It was not one system for all at any point of time. The unfortunate part is universal adult education sort of generalizes all the concepts in an effort to reach everybody at every place at all the time. However, while the intentions are very noble and the objective is highly commendable, but one education for all has its own limitations, and one system for all has its own limitations. And it has been seen and it has been debated and endlessly talked about, written and researched by many educators, policymakers, and others. However, suffice to say at this point of time is that while one education for all has been in existence for some time, it has also had a lot of issues that have come along with it. And therefore, the constant search for hybrid education, the constant search for alternatives, the constant search for blending it, the present education, with something that will make education much more impactful and meaningful. So, what are we trying to blend it with? What do we need? The human mind by itself has a lot of limitations. It has also got a lot of preferences. If I can put it like this, each individual by himself or herself is an entity whose learning styles are unique. And learning styles for every individual are different. No two individuals will learn anything the same way. This is a universal truth. So therefore, what exactly happens is, in our system, where we try to have a sort of common approach to learning so that we are able to meet the maximum numbers, has its own issues along with it. So it is an agreed fact that, the sort of education that we are having today needs to be blended to individualize, to customize, and to ensure that learning is maximized. So therefore, pedagogical methods, other aids to education, visual aids, auditory aids, then what is known as internet aids, all these are going to be used as much as possible to ensure that the education that is imparted is very, very effective and can transform people and lead to the defined objective that education is meant for. Now, we also have to see that this education is, commensurate with the social and economic needs of the society, of the individual. You cannot give education that is irrelevant, that is not practicable, that is not going to connect them to day-to-day life. It's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge. There are many people who, today say that our education is rote memory. It only measures, the capacity to what is known as memorize and crunch facts, but doesn't teach us how to live. There are people who have told, sadly, that education does not teach people how to live. But in spite of all these, what is known as limitations, education has definitely delivered. The present system of education has definitely delivered and transformed the life of many people, transformed the lives of society. And there are many people who have been products of this educational system who have touched excellence. So therefore, why has that happened and how has that happened? If you take individual case studies or a few case studies, all of them have one point or the other had hybrid education. They've had people who have been role models. They've had people with whom they have interacted a lot, discussed a lot, debated a lot. There have been teachers who have inspired them. There have been books that have changed their life. There have been movies. There have been drama. There have been everything that has affected them and transformed them in many ways. So I would like to reiterate that hybrid education has been part of our system always, only that we have not consciously imbibed it. It has only been unconsciously present all along with us in our educational system. Now, what we are doing is we are making a very, very conscious attempt to integrate hybrid education into the conventional structured educational system. I hope that this aspect is very clear to everybody. To say that hybrid education has come now would not mean that it was not there in existence before. It was in existence very much before, and it was part of our processes. All of us know that in our families, most of our parents give us a lot of education in terms of small little tidbits time and again. If you belong to any religious order, you get education from your church or from your temple or your mosque or religious leaders. Most of them give some sort of education in one way or the other. Then the mass media. How can we discount the mass media? The television, the movie industry, the people who write songs, the people who are cultural custodians, the writers, how much of impact they've had on your thinking and your education. Even that is another type of education. I have known people who have completely fashioned their life based on popular movies. And there is a character in the movie Drishyam where Kamal Hassan or even any of the heroes completely, imbibe all the things that have happened in a movie and base their entire life structure on what is learned from that particular movies or from the cinema. And they have created a character like that to emphasize that there are many people who have learned a lot of life values, living systems, and how to deal with others based on cinema and cinema dialogues and cinema, episodes. So I'm just trying to, bring out the point that learning and education takes place in a hybrid fashion all the time, a bit little unconsciously. It is not very conscious effort. So therefore, hybrid education is here to stay. And in our context, let us understand what is hybrid education means to us today as students and as teachers and as educators. See, this is what I want to tell. Blended learning can also be as a kind of relic symbolic of the gap between traditional education for the last century or so in the brick and mortar schools and the connected and digital learning. This, of course, implies that digital only is the future and ultimate incarnation of learning. This is what we all should learn now. Our world is progressing towards industrialization 5.0. If any one of you know what is industrialization 5.0, 5.0 is the age of artificial intelligence, of AI, and all learning and processes based on AI applications. So therefore, we have to understand that the brick and mortar schools and colleges and the conventional education are still there, but they are not going to last for a lifetime. They're not going to last for a long time. And the future is definitely ICT-enabled, digital-only incarnation of education. Of course, along with that, mass media will stay. Certain popular folk arts, conventional type of what are known as popular arts and performing arts will stay, but nothing will even come close to digital mode. They will stay in their conventional pockets. Their reach will be very limited, but digital is going to be universal. And the faster we embrace it, the better we are, and the better is for our learning and our educational systems. So, having said this, I would like to bring to the students that all students should necessarily understand that more and more learning is going to take place in the blended mode. And there may be a time when schools and colleges will not run the way they're running now. I was taking a class for my students, and I told them, I was talking about change and the way change is coming. And I told them, say 10 years from now, we may have what is known as like cafe coffee houses, oxygen kiosks, where you can get in, sit down on a table, and will connect you to some oxygen. You can breathe pure oxygen for some time, pay your bill, and come out. My students started laughing. I said, no, you're not understanding what I'm trying to tell you. The rate at which we are polluting our cities and our world is so fast that in 10 years, there will not be any pure oxygen left in the atmosphere for us to breathe. So we may have to, like water. See, when I was a school kid, I never had to buy water. I mean, the concept of buying water, if I had told at that time, somebody would have taken me to the nearest mental hospital. Buying water was never a concept. Water was freely available. You could drink it from anywhere, and it never had any problems. In railway stations, in road taps, in any place. But today, the same water is bottled and sold. And this is the reality I'm facing after 25 years. And drinking water anywhere now is not possible. So similarly, changes are taking place in many ways. So therefore, not learning on digital mode after another 15 years may not be possible at all. You may have no choice. You have to learn in the digital mode only. And even your teachers have to teach in digital mode. Face-to-face interaction may happen when you come for a discussion, when you come for a chat with your mentor or with your guide or with your, could be anybody. We could take some fancy names. All right. So that person will be in charge of, say, some 35 or 40 students who are taking up a particular course, and the material will be loaded in the internet, and you'll be asked to work at your own pace. And then there'll be once in a week or once in a month or whatever may be the time, you may have to come talk to that person who's your mentor or guide or whatever you want to call it, or your guru or any other name that may be kept in the future. And that person will be able to tell you if your learning is going on the right lines and this is what you should be learning. He or she will give you a course correction that has to be done and tell you that these are your weak areas, you have to work on them, and then you have to go back. Learning will start becoming much more personalized. Learning will become individual-based system that each individual has to do at his or her own pace and at his or her own ability. There may be people who can perform exceedingly well. There may be mediocres, there may be slow learners, but all of them will be able to get education based on their abilities. And this one education, one system fits for all may not be the requirement at that time. Education itself could be digitized, customized to the learning abilities of the student. And it could be much more student friendly and learning friendly in the future based on digital classrooms. So, my dear friends, digital classrooms are here to stay. And they will take over our current educational system slowly and slowly. In the next 5 years, more things will come. And after the next 10 years, more things will come. Let me tell you some 2 or 3 examples for this. There used to be a famous company called Kodak, which made photofilms. That company is no more now. It has wound up. Because once digital has come in, photo paper or that paper has got absolutely no relevance. You take the traditional typewriter. The typewriter is no more seen anywhere. I can quote a lot of things like that, but I'm quoting three things that are very, very visible. And one more thing is, whenever one went to the post office, people used to send telegrams using the Morse code from one place to another. The Post and Telegraph Department of India wound it up a few years back after some 200 years or 300 years of its use. So these all have become what is known as relics. A relic is something that was in the past and it was there. It is no more what is known as applicable. It is no more current. It has got no application as of today. So therefore, this word relic needs to be understood in that context. So what may happen is the type of education that we are seeing now and discussing now is bound to be a relic with the passage of time. How much time? How fast are things that we don't know? With the pandemic, all of us now have speeded up our online type of education. We are now talking, in virtual mode. Had the pandemic not come, I'm sure we wouldn't have taken up this at this speed and this urgency. So this has forced us to fall back on this system of education to see that our educational systems keep continuing and there is no loss of learning that takes place in conventional institutions and non-conventional institutions. So we don't know. In the future, we could have more than these sort of episodes coming in to what is known as make us change, adapt, and learn and relearn faster and faster. Unlearning also has to be very fast. What I did 25 years ago or 30 years ago is totally irrelevant today. If I talk that to my students or at home, they will think here is a relic that is coming from the 70s or 80s. Even if I choose to hear a particular song on a Hindi song or a Tamil song of 80s or 90s, I get very peculiar looks around me, as though, I am no more belonging to this planet and I belong to another planet and I'm accidentally found here. Like, I've come down in a UFO and, I'm moving around in a place which I don't belong to. That is the pace at which changes have taken place. And I'm sure that all of you understand this very well. So what can take place today? How can blended learning be adopted? How can we sort of proactively integrate blended learning into our system? How can we make blended learning a part of our learning systems and our educational systems? So hybrid learning could be blended very easily with our present system with a very proactive approach. And these could take place in form of structured online classes, then ICTs, and then flipped classes, then also customizing material based on student. We could sort of create material with reading material with say out of 10-point scale, 8% difficulty, 8-point difficulty, 5-point difficulty, 4-point difficulty, and 3-point difficulty. And what we could do is we could tell students to take up whichever version they want to take up, so that each student is able to take up based on his or her levels of learning. What I would do is, if there is a PG student who is very good and whose intake is very high, I would put more research papers. I would, share more sort of research concepts, and I would, give a lot of research gaps and tell the student to sort of get into those areas and look into. If there is another student who's much more a mediocre, I will have another sort of material that could be, make the students understand the concepts and make the student interested in the concepts, so that he or she can, be tickled around to go around for another higher grade of learning. And if there is another student who's of a mediocre or a sub-mediocre range, I could give that student that material which is of level 3 or level 4 difficulty, where he or she understands after 1 or 2 readings and is able to comfortably deal with the subject. So this is I'm just giving you an example. This is not what is only. There could be many methods. There could be methods where you bring celebrities to talk on certain subjects which make them interesting. You could have something like TED Talks. You could have experts from all the fields talking on one particular subject. So suppose I bring about 20 or 25 Nobel Prize winners in physics and ask them to talk on Boyle's law, and all of them are recorded and played to you. I'm sure Boyle's law will never become a problem with you. So there could be many forms of what is known as blended forms of learning, and it all is open to creativity, imagination, requirement, and ingenuity of the teacher. All right. So blended forms can take many formats. They can take many shapes. They can take many contours. But suffice here to understand that blended form means a group of systems or different approaches put together to enable high degree of learning, to optimize learning experience, to optimize intake experience, and to make things easy to understand and simple to remember. So that is what is a point that we need to understand. So dear students, those who are along here, so the point I want you to understand is keep your mind open to many hybrid forms of learning. And if possible, you should be a participant in suggesting what should happen and what is easier. Generally what exactly happens is, if you go to the Japanese system, they sort of have a open, free discussion and allow all sort of ideas to come out. And they call that brainstorming. And in a brainstorming, no idea is dismissed as silly idea or a great idea. Everybody is, open to say anything they want, any idea that they feel it's okay on a particular thing. You should understand that most of the Japanese inventions and their excellence has come out from this sort of sessions. So anybody can come up with a great creative idea. It only needs to be welcomed. So we should also try and have these sessions of what is known as brainstorming to see what blended forms that we could originate in India for our own customization. We need not be copying others. We should also customize it to what we think is correct. Then this is called flipping. Flipping is like online and offline put together. It is what is known as adaptation of both the types of learning. It defies conventions. There are no structured methods here. There is nothing sacrosanct that you should do like this and you should not do like this. You could be learning from a home. You could be learning from what is known as while on work. You could be learning when you're driving your car. You could be learning anywhere. So this is a blended adaptation of anything that can be put into ICT forms. We could have pre-packed lectures and give it to you so that you can, suppose I give you some 35 lectures by eminent people on the same subject and tell you, you will listen to 2 lectures a week and make notes out of them and, at your own leisure, re-listen to them and count back and as how much have you understood. So you can evaluate yourself, or we could give you after the lecture is over, a series of questions for self-evaluation. Maybe one evaluation the moment you've finished it, one after 1 week to check your retention, and one after 1 more month to see how much still remains in you and what is the effectivity of the concept that you have read. So reflective classes could go in those modes. So this is what I spoke. Presently, we have the Blackboard, the Moodle, and the LMS learning management systems that have already come. These are all blended classroom applications that are currently in use, and I am using one of them. So therefore, I know quite well what it is. But they are still in the infancy. They have got a lot of things to go ahead, and it will keep developing as it goes by. Experience will teach people how much of elements, how much of blended learning, how much of classroom, how much of TED lectures, and all those things that will come in. So, but the point to remember here is blended learning is very important. Blended learning is here to stay, and blended learning will definitely contribute to students. Now, I think because of shortage of time, I'll go a little quickly. No, this is what students can do. Like I have been talking, they can access videos, track assignments, have progress, and we can even make what is known as learner profiling. Like for a fast learner, for a medium learner, for a what is known as relative slow learner, for a systematic learner, for a what is known as a creative learner. You could sort of create material keeping different type of people, different type of learning that people prefer, and it could be almost customized. I'm not telling you can customize this 100%. The learner himself, you give him a choice, give him or her a choice of what she will choose, like a bouquet. You give them online lectures, you give them classrooms, you give them the supporting material, you give them labs, and tell them you make a choice of how many hours. If my total subject is 60 hours, so I will give you a choice how many hours you want to listen to TED lectures, how many hours you want to attend classes, how many hours you want to take assignments, how many hours you want to spend with LMS. So you make your own timetable of 60 hours and choose what you want to do. So if you think of a system like that, you can understand how much it will be customized for the student and how much the student will like the particular learning, because he or she has a choice of learning what he or she likes and the way he or she likes to be taught. So ICT is definitely going to make learning very progressive, very scientific, and also highly accessible. It will going to be highly accessible. No more money, power, position, and all of the other things will have effect on learning. So the reach of learning will be much more wider. We'll go into those aspects of it. So hybrid classrooms are redefining education. This is what I talked about all this center. So blended learning seems to reinforce student-centered learning. There's a point that I want to make to all the students. Blended learning is definitely student-friendly, student-centric. It is not going to be, and it is possible to tweak it and make it more customized to a particular student. May not be in a class of 50 students to all the students individually, but definitely much more richer. I mean, what I could do is I could create 4 or 5 modules and different types, and I have a different type of combination, leave it to the student, and I'm sure, at least if not for 100%, the student is bound to choose what he or she likes, and it will be much more effective up to 80%. And my dear students, 80% is a high rate of efficiency as far as education is concerned, and as far as system of education is concerned, and the effectivity of the system is concerned. Okay, does blended classroom work? Definitely it works. So there are a lot of skeptics who ask the question, can we substitute the brick and mortar teacher? There are a lot of concerns that are told regarding social skills, regarding the ability to get along with groups, the loss of social skills, and the loss of other things. And nobody here is professing pure ICT learning. We are always talking of blended learning. And when I'm talking of blended learning, I'm also talking about what is known as a bouquet of what is known as approaches that could be left to the student. So a particular student who wants to socialize, or a group of students who want to socialize, will choose more classroom sessions than what is known as online learning. So I think instead of thinking for them, we should train students to allow to think for them and enable a system which makes them capable of making a choice, exercising their choice and taking responsibility for their choice. Now, all the while now, what has happened is we are more responsible as educators, policymakers, parents, and other things. And, students have always had that feeling that something is forced down their throat. And, they take it as, it is your right and my duty. Parents and educators and others think that it is their right to choose what sort of education the student is supposed to have, and it is the student's duty to undergo that. And I think that paradigm will get completely changed when blended learning comes. That's not the ideal situation. The ideal situation should be the educated or the guy who's receiving it should be equally responsible, equally accountable, and equally what is known as involved in the entire process. If that involvement comes through, and then you'll see that there is a different level at which education will be viewed. So, this point I wanted to tell that all students don't learn the same way. So therefore, the student will, always find a way to learn. So if we enable that, then the student need not keep, trying through trial and error method. The student can make a choice and not waste time doing time. All of us remember when we underwent our education, we had to do a lot of, trial and error method to find out what is right, find out what is wrong, which area to go, what to do. But unlike that, what should happen is the student should never waste his or her time trying trial and error methods. There should be a combination where the student is able to and choose responsibly, and what is known as accept responsibility for their choice. And that is very important. And I definitely would like to visualize a time when a student makes a choice and says, yeah, I am responsible for making the choice, and whatever good or bad comes out of it is my choice, and I'm going to deal with it. So the moment that sort of a situation is reached, definitely education will become more a pleasure, and the learning will become sort of music to people. Not that the learning will be viewed as a burden, and learning will not be viewed as a drudgery that has to be compulsorily undergone. I've heard many people tell me, many people tell me that my entire learning time was a waste, and it is like this. Whatever I learned was not no use to me. And these are very common statements that people make. But without trying to mean anything wrong, what I would like to tell is whatever you learn, responsibility also lies with you making the choice and to make it good in whichever system you are. So therefore, blended learning definitely offers better opportunities, better systems, and better paradigm shift to make learning good. Now, do traditional classrooms fail to engage the student? The answer I would not venture because it is very controversial, but definitely I would like to tell the other strength that, most of the students have said that blended learning does make education much more interesting for them. Students exposed to blended learning and face-to-face learning have said that they like it and it is much more effective. So this is one more thing I want to tell. Students who are capable of working in a blended situation, in a group, and students who like to work individually. So these are broad types of students, and blended learning will suit both of them. If a person is makes a choice of learning individually, and he or she can learn very fast and feels that the learning need not occupy so much of time, he or she could do other things. Blended learning is the answer. For such students, they can make a choice and rapidly progress in their work. And there are for students who believe, I don't want to be alone. I want to be with people. I want to share information. I want to work in groups. I want to collaborate. I want to have an enriched learning experience. Is, not correct. This is very correct. I talked about this at length. This one size fits all is something that is not correct. It is unscientific, and it is not possible. So therefore, this one size fits all is not has not been effective, and it has faced with a lot of criticisms. And there are mountains and mountains of criticisms about these sort of education systems. We need not get into that. Suffice to say that let us look at it more positively and bring in much more what is known as blended learning systems, so that this one size fits all type of educational system becomes that more customized, more user friendly, more learner friendly, and more approachable by the learner, and also makes it much more learning sort of pleasure than a burden. Right. Then let me go to the next one. Blended learning sounds like a dream for students and teachers. Yeah, it sounds like a dream, but is it a dream or is it a reality? My dear friends, it is no more a dream. It is a reality. It has already come in. I'm telling you, these percentages will get, there will be only 8% classroom learning. 8% of the students choose to come to the classroom 10 years later. If you're in the marriageable age group, your own child would not be going to school or college maybe after some time. And, they will stick to blended learning, and, they'll go to school once in a way to meet their friends, talk to teachers, have discussions, have brainstorming sessions, come up with ideas, talk of innovation and things like that. So things will definitely change. Things will take a new shape because there are a lot of challenges ahead. And these challenges demand that education changes and adapts itself to the challenges that are coming around. Right? Yeah, there are some standard traditions or traditional, what is known as criticisms against blended learning. One is that technology is expensive. I have only one argument for such people. Tell me who doesn't have a cell phone today. It could be, cell phone was very expensive when it started, but technology can also become inexpensive as the numbers go by. If the scale increases, technology will definitely become not out of reach to everybody. So this argument is just used to postpone the blended learning concept by people who don't want or who are reluctant to embrace new technologies. And then inadequate training. This is partly a fact. When you shift from one technology to another, one mode to another, there has to be massive infrastructural training imparted to people who have to adapt it to a massive scale. So that part, I think it is a process issue. And, in anything, there are process issues, and these process issues need to be corrected. I won't tell this as a major inadequacy. This is one of the system problems, and we have system problems everywhere. So this system problem needs to be addressed so that adequate training and adequately skilled people are available everywhere. And then technological issues. Yeah, even when technology came newly to, we had electric lights, we had much more fluctuations, more problems, less of lights, and then a lot of failures. But as technology kept improving, now today we have stable things. So the same thing, technological issues will be there in the initial stage. So these are some of the skills that we are going to talk about, and these and even biologically we are wired to learn through different skills. So therefore, blended learning is also what is known as very friendly to these sort of skills that every student possesses. Students have different type of perceptual skills, different type of sensory skills, and each student has got one in excess or one in abundance and little less of something. So the distribution is not even. The distribution is sort of, in a different way. So it is more rounder. All right. So they all of them complement each other. Some are very effective when you give them visual learning. Some are very effective when you give them sensory learning. So learning occurs in very different ways. And I won't get into why it happens like that, but suffice to tell at this point is that, ICT, or what is known as blended learning, is also biology friendly, learning biology friendly. Visual skills, perceptual skills, auditory skills, sensory skills, all of them, have different proportions and different capabilities. And when we use all of them in combination, ideally learning is optimized. So blended learning has got the ability to optimize your input through all these learning, learning mediums that you use for learning as a student, right? Then linguistic skills. So linguistic skills become very important when we are going through ICT, and spoken or uh, written skills are equally important. But also one thing to complement and tell you that even if you cannot speak, ICT will enable you to speak. If you cannot hear, ICT will enable you to hear. So all the incapacities are also will not become a hindrance in learning. So ICT will enable you to learn irrespective of many issues that may come. And technology will come in a big way to substitute whichever skills you may, as a learner, experience difficulty with. So this is one place where the demand is very high. A learner's proficiency in using ICT is very important in blended media. Otherwise, also, for example, if you were in a conventional classroom, your ability to have mastery of a particular language and have a proper intonation and body language is also equally important. So every system develops mastery of a particular area. Blended learning will have a certain degree of skills required in e-learning, and that is one point that I'd like to tell. And I think we should have some system in which basic e-skills are imparted right at the primary levels. So I just would like to conclude. There is evidence that learning style dimensions are very important factors in how a student learns more effectively. And in an ideal world, there needs to be appropriate selection and choice of a mix of delivery methods and representation of content to meet the online learner's need. I would even take away the online learners. I will say learners' needs. All learners' needs are, a sort of combination and requires mix and match of different types of learning. One learning fits all is a sort of what is known as style, which is not commensurate with all-round learning for everyone. And it is also not very inclusive. So I would like to conclude saying that blended learning should be the order of the day. It should be embraced by all of us, and it should be taken into, what is known as imbibed into the system and enriched and improved so that learning could be made very, very universal and interesting to everyone. I would, yeah. Any questions you have, please ask, and I'm waiting for the questions.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge with us. Your presence and experience gave us more meaning to it. Moving on to the question and answer, I call upon Alex to take over the session.
Thank you, ma'am. So there are a few questions which have been asked by the students. So the first question, how to ensure quality of participation in online learning?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Generally, I would like to answer this question with a small example. There is a popular saying that the mind is a monkey. Mind has got the habit of jumping from one aspect to another, and to keep your mind focused, is a very, very important skill that we need to develop. It is not inherent in any one of us, including me. If I allow my mind, it will keep wandering here and there. So the ability to focus is, having two or three very practical things. One is you should know that you should not have any of the digressions that are around you. Maybe your mobile phone, maybe some music, maybe other things. It's wise to have a pen and a paper to keep noting down. I'm telling very practical things. Pen and a paper to note down what important points are there. It would be very helpful if you have a nice place which is undisturbed by other distractions, and also sessions beyond 45 minutes are not advisable, because your mind's capability to keep focus beyond 45 minutes is very limited. So even if there is a session that's going to go beyond 45 minutes, it's ideal to take a break. So these are the very small practical points that I would like to tell. But if you go into personality issues, you could go for sort of meditation, you could go into certain mindfulness habits, which will improve your concentration skills. And that is another line altogether. Therefore, I would like to answer this question within the range of what subject is given to me, and that is what I have told. I hope I've been able to answer your question in a proper.
Thank you, sir. The next question: how can online learning prepare students for the real world?
Yeah, sure. This is a very important question. Whether it is offline learning or online learning or classroom learning, we need to understand our education is here to give you certain theoretical and structural knowledge on subjects. Whether those will prepare you for real life is something that is very, very debatable. And it has been debated quite a lot. Now, there are people who have told that this educational system neither teaches you how to live, how to earn a livelihood, nor how to live. Now, there are criticisms that have gone to the other end of the point. But what I would like to tell you is, when we talk about living, you're already living. You're not going to live afresh. Right from the day you're born, you're living with your family, you're living with your friends, you have your relatives, you're connected to everybody. So living starts from that point. So you start imbibing skills, you start imbibing social skills, many things in other ways. So what skill should a college education equip you with? So I would like to answer this question with, I sort of feel that a college education should equip you with more skills in transacting with the world, how to avoid conflict, how to engage in conflict, what are skills I have, how to analyze a situation, how to be part of a team, how to work collaboratively. Right, these are the skills that the college needs to learn, and I think many educations are making an attempt to do that. So as far as your online learning is concerned, there is nothing like pure online learning. Sorry if I have conveyed that meaning. So I always talked about blended learning, and in blended learning, maybe online learning is only 20%. I would rather say that I would put you with for an internship with some company for maybe 6 months or 1 year as part of your learning paradigm, where you go out actually to a place. And if all my students agree, I would take them to cafe coffee shop and ask them to do customer service for one week in a year. They will learn much more about human beings and how human beings deal than that. So by blended learning, I meant that not only online learning. Online learning can give you a theoretical perspective. It can give you ideas. It can give you models and knowledge of that. So it will help you to understand what is happening in the world. But the other skills have to be given through other sources. I hope it's clear.
Thank you, sir. Next question: how to make students participate in service learning through online environment?
How to make students participate in
service learning, sir?
What learning, ma'am? What learning is that?
Service learning through online environment.
Service, is it? SERVICE?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The first thing is, what is service learning is something that I don't know. I assume that it is, social responsibility, social consciousness, connecting with the society at large, and understanding other people, having empathy. I mean, I believe that these are what the student meant, and I hope it is the same. So generally, service learning teaches you all these things, to see how the other person is, to have empathy, to understand the other perspective, to be able to integrate into a group, to be able to deal with the group, to understand the group, to be part of the group, and many of these other skills that are associated with that group. So therefore, if online learning definitely will not enable you to, be in service learning. So service learning, I told you, again, blended learning. Service learning has to be a part of your curriculum in some ways, like internship, social work, going to a village, staying in another place, leaving all your comforts, and going to a village to work with them, and accepting their criticism, seeing their way of life, and experiencing it in a different environment. So that would be the more ideal system than online system. So online system will definitely not cater to that particular need in general.
Okay.
So that has to be, again, I emphasize the word blended learning. And when I said blended learning is like I emphasize, it's a bouquet. It's a bouquet of combination of many things. So that combination has to be arrived via curriculum, via debate, and via the objectives of learning that we are going to keep as.
Okay. Sir, can you suggest an effective online tool for collaborative learning?
Ma'am, yeah. What is that? Can you go a little slow, please? Your voice is breaking.
I'll repeat it, sir. Can you suggest an effective online tool for collaborative learning?
Suggest a online tool. Okay, devise a project, distribute different parts of a project to different students, and then ask them to have an online discussion on that. Ask them to do a brainstorming, and then let them complete the project, and then each one present their part. It could be done online. I mean, it's a start. It's a small thing, but it can go in a different way.
Okay, sir. So the next question:
Yeah.
How far online learning will help the students when it comes to professional courses, or in case if it is a practical knowledge, to acquire practical knowledge?
Yeah, this is a question that I expected, and it is a very valid question. So that is what I was telling you, ma'am. What happens is exactly that is where flipped classrooms come. There are theoretical aspects of a particular subject that I can give you online, but there are also practical aspects of that particular thing that you have to come to a particular defined place of learning, maybe a lab, maybe a workshop, maybe any place. But it will not a daily thing. It's part of the curriculum. Suppose, say, let me take something very practically. Suppose I'm teaching, say, a subject like HR, human resource management. So what I could do is, when it comes to collaborative learning, I can bring a case study. I can distribute the case study in advance. I'll ask them to write down the, what is known as solutions they feel on a case study, and each one of them have a debate on which is right and which is wrong. Some sort of a workshop method where all of them will learn practically what that is correct. Or you take a biology class, they can always study about a frog, what a frog looks like, what is it, is it what are vertebrates, what are invertebrates, what are mammals, all that. But when it comes to the actual dissection, they need to come to the lab. Of course, I can show a huge size of that on an ICT, and I can show how it is being dissected. I can have a sectional view, and technology has made a 3D presentation. But actually, if you take the scalpel and cut the frog, till then you will not know what is the emotional experience that undergoes when you're cutting something. So for that experience to be internalized, practicals are required. But that will not be throughout the year. It will be, that's what I told you, a blended part. So if I am teaching this subject, it will be 25%, 25 classes online, 10 classes discussion, 10 classes, what is known as aided, what is known as teaching, where I show 3D dimensions of all that is happening, and another 10 classes laboratory. So it would be like that. So the question is very valid, that there are practical things that have to be done practically. No question on that.
Thank you, sir. Okay, there's a question asked by the student. If there is no advanced technology, what are the steps to be taken for learning during the pandemic?
If there are no advanced technologies, what are the steps that you can take during pandemic? Okay,
Yes.
We need to switch back to the way our grandfathers learned. Our grandfathers, if you go to olden villages, even today, many of the villages, they have street plays. They have, 3-4 days dramas, telling mythologies, telling stories, telling many other episodes. That was learning. The only thing is we have forgotten all the performing arts that, used to be big vehicles of learning. So if you don't have any of this, then you fall back on your traditional forms. Your traditional forms have got enough rich repository of what is known as visual, verbal, and other mediums that are present for you to adapt it to, learning of recent information also. So I don't think, we will not be learning. Definitely there are enough art forms, enough, performing art forms for us to fall back on. Only thing is we need to again be innovative, customize them to what is doing. A lot of street plays are used now by many theater students to convey issues like dowry, like what is known as cleanliness, women in the society, then LGBT issues. All these are used to educate. They perform street plays anywhere and educate people on those issues. So there are enough, what is known as performing arts, like memes, like these things that can keep educating. So education should continue, and then we should improve on those systems for us to, fall back on.
Thank you, sir. There's another question. Will blended learning instructional model replace traditional face-to-face instructional model in higher education? I'll repeat it, sir.
Yeah.
Will blended learning instructional model replace traditional face-to-face instructional model in higher education?
Okay, ma'am. This question presupposes one thing: blended model versus traditional model. So this is what I would like to clarify. The traditional model is not done away with. You please understand. The traditional model is not done away with. The traditional model is integrated with the blended model. More other factors are gotten. So wherever the traditional model has got its strengths, we need to retain them. Please understand that thing very clearly. We are not talking of substituting the traditional model with another model. No, we are talking of enriching the traditional model with other modes so that it becomes much more enriched. I hope the question is clear. I'm not here to advocate that the traditional model needs to be replaced. Not at all. Traditional model, where it is viable, where it is necessary, where it is effective, should be retained. And the blended model should bring in elements that will, make it, enrich it with different systems. And the percentage of how much traditional model you want to retain, how much blended model you want to bring in will vary from place to place, model to model, school to school, and circumstance to circumstance. So there is no, again, that's what I tell you, there is no one model fits all solution here. Okay, I think I've tried to answer that question, and that's the way I would look at it.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Next question. Learning from home, student lose focus. How to overcome challenges?
Okay, what is the guarantee that the student will not lose focus when he or she comes to college? Losing focus is independent of coming to school, college or not coming to college. So losing focus by itself is an issue. All right. It has to do with personality issues. It has to do with what is known as learning issues. It has to do with certain other issues. So I think they need to be spoken differently than in this context. However, yeah, since people feel that you lose focus when you are in learning, online model, then you need to understand that you should take up only that much where you can focus and then improve your ability to focus. So that will depend on a lot of personality factors, your lifestyle, what you have in your room, what sort of room you do, how much interest you have to learn, and all those other factors. There are too many variables in that thing that you cannot have one particular answer. So one answer is very simple. You think of what is distracting you, see how you can deal with it and deal with it upfront. And if you feel that the quantum of online sessions given to you are too much, then you please take it up to the appropriate authority.
Okay. So there's one more question.
Yeah, ma'am.
Is blended learning is working as distance learning education? How to integrate between learning management system and academic management system?
Who asked this question?
It is from a faculty, sir.
Yeah, I thought as much. When somebody asked about learning management system, I thought it is a faculty. Okay. Now, the point is this. When we are trying to integrate, we need to understand the scale of integration and the quantum of integration. All right. Yeah, scale and quantum of integration is what matters. Right now what we are doing is we are trying to bite more than what we can chew, and that is what is happening when we ask questions like this. So we are not knowing how much to take here and how much to take here. So exactly, learning management systems are meant and designed for the student. It should not be a burden on the teacher. So what we need to do is, we need to have a graded, scale of work that is given so that we are able to do it efficiently and with quality. And education management systems are totally a different thing altogether. It has to do more with your individual institution, your institutional procedures, your institutional values, systems, and that is a separate subject which I will not comment without knowing what is exactly happening. So it is highly individualistic pertaining to the institution. So you need to take it up with your institutional heads, to have issues there properly structured.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Over to you, Princy ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I request Mrs. Selvi, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, post vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the management, faculties, organizing committee, I feel immense pleasure in taking this opportunity to propose vote of thanks. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our director, Reverend Father Victor, degree principal, Mr. Arogyaraj Nicholas, vice principal, Reverend Father Mervyn, for their continuous support. My special thanks to today's resource person, Dr. Krishnan Bhatt, for sparing his valuable time and giving such a thought-provoking insight on blended learning and how well we can adapt ourselves in the current scenario. Thank you, sir. It's indeed a great pleasure in having you with us today.
thank you.
My deep sense of appreciation and thanks to all my students who chose to be live with us and attended this orientation with great enthusiasm. My sincere thanks to all the faculties, organizing committee, and the technical team for making this day happen. Once again, I thank you all for being with us this morning and for making the session a successful one. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I hope I was able to contribute to your expectations, and I had delivered some content which is thought-provoking and appropriate.
Yeah, thank you, Krishnan sir. Appreciate your patience for answering all the questions.
No
Thanks a lot,
issues.
sir.
Thank you.
Looking forward for you in future as well, sir.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 sir, very much.
I would like to have feedback from your HOD and others as to the content and the points that have been discussed. And let me know if
Sure, sir. We are sharing the feedback. We'll be sharing with you, sir.
okay. And no,
At the
I
end
would
of the
like.
session, we'll be taking a feedback from students also.
Okay.
Yeah. Now is it?
Yeah, no. I want a feedback from the faculty if you found anything appropriate
Okay.
and you feel that it went on the right direction. That's very important for me. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Can
Thank you so much, sir.
I stop share?
Yes, sir. We will be having a short break and we will be starting with the next session. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
To the notice of the students, we successfully completed first session for the day. We will resume
Are they coming
shortly.
now? You will not get another chance. Again, I won't be.
We will resume shortly with the second session. Kindly stay with us. Welcome back, students. Leadership is a journey, not a destination. It is a marathon, not a race. It is a process, not an outcome. We will now start with the second session for the day. I request Dr. Deepa Singh, HOD, Department of Language, to introduce the resource person. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Warm greetings to everyone. My name is Dr. Deepa Singh, HOD of Language Department, St. Vincent Pallotti Degree College, Bangalore. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to our resource person and to you all. We are going to have informative session together with our luminous and enthusiastic resource person, Mr. Kunal Borkar. Sir holds MCom, DIM, SIT, and currently working as an assistant professor of commerce at Swami Vivekananda College, Goa. He is having a vibrant personality. He worked in several banks as a team leader, in many colleges as a guest lecturer, and with all these activities, he works for society too as a social worker. I have two lines of Woodrow for Sir. There is no higher religion than human service to work for the common good in the greatest creed. This quote is very apt to Kunal sir because where we are swamped with our daily routine, he is trying to reach out to underprivileged. He is a president of Yuva Prabhat Socio-Cultural Club, Margaon, and felicitated by Hitani Gram Panchayat towards his services to flood victims and Panchwati Village Panchayat services rendered towards uplifting theatre. Sir also won several prizes as an actor and director in short films competitions at state level and national level. Now he is a member of Converge Production. Sir, we are privileged that you are with us. Thank you and welcome again. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. I request Mr. Kunal to take over the session. Over to you, sir. Sir, you're not audible, sir.
Can you unmute yourself? Student, just
Okay, am I audible?
just wait for 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it clear now? Is my voice reaching to y'all?
Yeah. You can present the screen, sir.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Am I audible, right?
Yeah, sir. Everything is fine.
I'll start right from the beginning again. Thank you, Arul Princey. And also thanks to Dr. Deepa Singh, HOD from St. Vincent Pallotti College for giving my brief introduction in a wonderful manner. Respected principal of St. Vincent Pallotti Institute, Mr. Arok Riyaj Nicholas G. Coordinator for today's session, Priya Kuda, Shilpa Mohan, and other senior faculties of St. Pallotti Institute, and my dear students. Myself, Kunal Burkar, Assistant Professor in Commerce from SVVM College, and it's indeed my privilege to be a resource person for the today's session titled Journey Towards Your Goal Through Leadership. Well, when I say leadership, few names which goes around in our mind are Narendra Modi, our present Prime Minister, Kim Jong, Barack Obama, and many other leaders who have ruled our country as well as different sort of countries, who are being criticized, who are being appreciated for their leadership style. Some leaders are called autocratic, some are called democratic, some are called laissez-faire, and so on. Well, I'm not here to discuss the style of these leadership because these leadership, according to me, doesn't exist anymore now. These needs to be scrapped because the definition as well as meaning of leadership in today's digitalized world has completely changed. To begin with, let's go back, to our history, to our country, some of the demographic features. See, India is a democratic republic country. We are termed to be as one of the highly populated nation. As per the census statistics in 2018, the total population of our country is around 135.26 crore. We have reached to a point wherein we are almost on the verge of surpassing our neighboring country China, and the average density of population in our country is 500 people living in per square kilometer. Can you imagine? And the age structure which occupies the most within this 135.26 crore, that is 64%, belongs to the age group of 15 to 64 years. Well, in a recent statement made by our Prime Minister while it was addressing the COVID pandemic, he mentioned that the population of our state from where he's elected as an MP, our very own Prime Minister, who is elected as an MP, that is Varanasi. Uttar Pradesh, the population of Uttar Pradesh itself is equal to, or more or less equal to, Brazil. Can you imagine? Only one state, the population of our only one state, Uttar Pradesh, is equivalent to Brazil. And since our population, is very high and is unevenly distributed in the country, we are plagued by several issues. Which are those? We are plagued by corruption. We are plagued by lack of infrastructure, poverty, high rate of unemployment, low per capita income, low purchasing power. I mean to say at international level, although we are termed to be as one of the developing nation, I do agree with that of course we are developing. But if you go around and see the reality, if you visit in different states, still all these things do exist. And that's the reason our economy is enjoying deficit in balance of payment since we are developing country. Now, being an economist, being a person of a commerce background, we all belong to commerce background. The issues which we tend to, or which we are interested to study, are all these issues which I discussed now in my talk. And these issues are also being highlighted or also taught to us by my teachers, and still we are addressing the same issues in every speak, in every talk, in every lecture session, and it is still continuing. We happen to research on these topics itself. But as a citizen of India, as a citizen, as a proud citizen of my country, I believe that it is a duty, I believe it is the duty of every citizen to think, apart from all these issues, what are the causes for it? Apart from all these issues, thinking beyond this, one should ask us himself or herself, we should ask ourselves that how many leaders we have given birth up till now? As I mentioned, as of the census report 2018, statistics given in the report 2018, the population is 135.26 crore. And if you find the number of leaders who are performing, undertaking their leadership effectively, if you start naming them, it would be ending by counting in your fingers. Just imagine 500 people living in per square kilometer, and still we are not able to develop, we are not able to promote leaders. Gone are the days, my friends, gone are the days when leadership was confined only to politics. जब कोई अपने आप को लीडर कहे तो उसे राजनीति का नेता कहा जाता था. वो दिन चले गए हैं. Leadership is not only confined to politics. You talk about any section, any sector of this today's society, of economy, of any constituent of our environment within we, you, everybody are living. You speak on that. You talk about administration, you talk about bureaucracy, you talk about health, you talk about public work. corporate, you talk about any section, one cannot imagine these sectors to work, these segments to work without effective leadership, without promoting, developing a leader. Now, my question is, so much need is there. So much need exists in every section, in every sector of our constituent. As I mentioned, your different sectors, so much need is available. And to match this need, that is to match this demand, we have an abundant resources of population. But are we be able to match this demand? Is there proper supply of leaders? Is there match between this demand and supply? Now let me explain you in an economic way, Of course, economists might know better than me because I'm a commerce teacher. Economics was one of my subjects when I used to study in my higher secondary and then even at college level. Let me tell you the law of demand. What it says that the demand is less, and when supply is more, price is less. And when demand is high, but supply is less, that is where the price increases. Now, my point is, when there is so much demand, is there supply? No, there is no supply. And that's the reason develop an army of effective leaders, my friends. There are many theories. Some says that leaders are born, and some says that leaders are made. And there has been a number of debate, a number of discussions on TV news channel. Now you can see so many new. Earlier during my childhood, we had just national Doordarshan. But now, if you go around, you will find a number of channels in our national language, that is Hindi. If you go to English, then place where we are stay, Konkani and Marathi and Karnataka, Kannada. If I go to Tamil Nadu, Tamil, that means there are news channels in every nook and corner of our country in different languages. And a number of debates and discussions are taking place. Several philosophers, several leaders, several entrepreneurs, several educationists, and several managers have given different definition, different meaning for leadership. Well, since we all live in a democratic nation, everyone has choice either to follow or not, based on which these theories are propounded by the concerned people. Well, I'm here with a belief. Of course, this is a matter of discussion and debate, but I'm here with my belief, with my view. And some say, within my views, asking y'all to tell y'all that we say that leaders are born, not made. I believe no, leaders are not born. I believe leaders are made. Leaders are made by acquiring knowledge, which leads to competencies, by acquiring several qualities, which molds them, which empowers them, through which a leader can undertake effective leadership. But unfortunately, in our country, there is still a belief unfortunately, in our country, there is still a belief saying that if you go around in other parts, different parts, because when I say about my country, then I should consider right from Assam till up to Gujarat and from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So I have to consider not only developed metropolitans or cosmopolitans or developed towns, I need to consider the every nook and corner of this country. Please keep in mind. Now, unfortunately, what what thing is imposed on us is that still there is a belief around us that कि राजा का बेटा ही राजा बनेगा. And to support my statement, I have a classic example. That is, I belong to a Middle East, and since my birth, I am taught only to think about food, clothing, and shelter by my parents. If I talk about saying that no, I want to fly in the sky, I want wings, I want to reach to the other level of the society, I used to be pulled down by my very own parents saying that first try to secure yourself by food, clothing, and shelter. And if you talk about and to support this statement, Raja ka beta hi Raja banega, I have one more, political philosophy which we all are following. The reason we all are following, why I have said that, key, we all vote them and get them elected. That is, today, we are all in second year graduate, you all are undergraduate students, you all are undertaking your undergraduate educations, and soon you will be, acquiring degrees, BCom, BA, some BSc, some BFS, BCA, some might go to pursue PG, some might do PhD, or some might do MBA. There are n number of courses being undertaken. So you are going to empower yourself. If you look around, once you are being molded in your college, when you go around in your market, in this labor market in search of job, the very first part which you come across is vacancy. And then suitably you apply for it. Even for the post of multitask staff, your college peon also needs 10th pass. But what about these are elected representatives? You ask about, if you go around in country, in our country, there is a state, Jharkhand, wherein recently the educator of that particular state, I'm not getting his name, he had taken an admission for higher secondary school. Can you imagine? He had taken an admission for higher secondary school after being sworn as the education minister of Jharkhand state. So now, even when one applies for MTS, one applies for any post or any job vacancies, you need to be qualified for that. There is a qualification criteria. But what is the qualification criteria for elected representative? Because now the situation in our country, which we are coming across, that either whether the son or daughter is interested in politics or no, still that son or daughter will be pushed for politics. Even though that particular person might not be qualified, might not be interested to, but since he is belonging to that particular family, or his ancestors were the elected representative of that particular area or that particular constituency, that's the reason. That's the reason they are, they are voted back by us. So that's the reason you will find if you go around, you will find family Raj in our country. But let me tell you, my friends, हर रात की, I would like to say in Hindi that हर रात की सुबह होती ही है. And I'm very proud to tell you all that today's youth have taken several initiatives to prove and change this entire scenario. And taking this challenge, getting this reality in front of the entire public. There has been several youths involved in developing different media. And one of the media which I would like to discuss here is film. That is Super 30, wherein Anand Kumar was highlighted, a mathematician directed by Vikas Bail. And the Anand Kumar role was played by Mr. Hrithik Roshan. I'm sure that everyone is fond of movies, so I'm very fond of movies, so I'm very much quite sure that this Super 30, every student who has been studying in this particular class might have gone or watched this movie. If not, then do watch it. In that movie, there is a scene. These are inspiring scenes, not only for y'all but also for me too, everyone. In that scene, when in that Super 30 movie, Mr. Hrithik Roshan, he sees a child after being completely drunk in a party. When he comes outside, after enjoying the lavish life, the artificial lavish life, when he comes outside, he sees a small child preparing for small poor child who is working as a dishwasher, working hard to become an IIT and to get admission at IIT. When he sees him, when he speaks to him, he sees him that he observes him that he is a dishwasher. He belongs to a very poor family. And that is how, along with his work, he is also undertaking his under a street light. After witnessing this scenario, when he is traveling, since his scooter was not working, recollect that in that scene in your mind, students. Recollect it is a very inspiration, motivation for everyone. Go through it, go watch that movie. When he goes home and he starts speaking, he starts inquiring about that child with that cycle rickshaw. And when he speaks with him, Hrithik Roshan, that is Anand Kumar, recollects what his father had told him, what his father used to always preach, what his father used to always promote, that Raja ka beta Raja nahi Raja ka beta Raja nahi banega. अब पैसे की दम पर नहीं बल्कि मेहनत की दम पर राजा बनेगा. Such a beautiful line having meaning, my friends. And this is how was a turning point of Anand Kumar, who then now you can see who is he, how life of his has completely changed. If I go back to the primitive era, right from primitive era to today's digitalized era, the leadership or a leader has been termed as dynamic. And that the definition of leader, the meaning of leader, the meaning of leadership, definition of leadership has been changing. It is never static. It's changing. And what is leadership in today's world? Leadership is both a research area and a practical encompassing the ability of an individual or organization to lead or guide other individuals, teams, or entire organization. Am I audible? Yes?
Yes,
Am I audible?
yes, sir.
I'll continue. So, what is leadership? Yes, audible? Am I audible?
Yes,
Sir,
sir, you
you're
can
audible.
continue. Yes.
Leadership is both a research area and a practical skill encompassing the ability of an individual or organization to lead or guide other individuals, teams, or entire organization. What does this mean? Big, big words, vocabulary is being found and accordingly six, right? Let me explain you right up to down to explain you what is leadership. According to me, leadership is a progressive, productive purpose which is being carried out through teams for the well-being of society. Please keep in mind, those days are gone, those earlier days are gone. It is for the well-being of society. It's a productive process. It's no more an activity for me. Yes, it's no more an activity for me. It's a progressive, productive process. Why? Because it includes progress. Activity doesn't include progress. It is the productive process which includes progress. And progress means ever increasing, ever growing, ever expanding, ever improving, working tirelessly for the community. Nowadays, if you go around and ask anyone to work for a particular, to undertake a particular productive purpose or active process, then or any vacancy or any job, the very first part which comes within us is promotion, remuneration, salary, bonus, and we also tend to study the HR policies, and we basically we work for monetary or non-monetary benefits. Let me tell you, my friends, leadership is no more related to all these things. It has changed. It is for community. When I say for community means one of the beautiful religious society, ISKCON, which is being located at Bangalore. They have been working tirelessly to promote their goal without enjoying all these benefits. So when I say community means it is for all. It is no more personal. And how it is possible when the entire team has a common purpose or has a common goal. It should not be like just go. It should be let's go together. Since it is a common purpose, so there should be common goal. So everyone should work together. It should be for community. The purpose can be many, as I discussed with an ISKCON. It is a purpose for community. The purpose can be to establish a political organization, religious organization, spiritual organization, corporate organization. All the members who have been working together under the leadership, the leader has to work with them, and there should be common goal. And when there is common goal, among all, then only there will be progress that is ever increasing, ever growing, ever expanding, and ever improving, my friends. I know it's not easy, but it is a demand. And if the members of your team feel that this goal doesn't belong to them, or if they do not have common goal, then the work would be undertaken only for monetary or non-monetary benefits. There would not be a teamwork. It should come from heart. It should come from heart. And that is how it goes. So there should not be a personal goal to the leader as well as to other members of the team. There should be a common goal. There should be a common purpose. And if we follow all these common goals, common purpose, the team together will lead to progress, advancement that is ever increasing, ever growing, and ever expanding and ever improving. And that is how the purpose of any section, that is community, political, religious, any organization, spiritual, corporate, the objectives or the common goal would be achieved. Definition of leadership. Different philosophers, different entrepreneurs have defined the leadership in that particular language. Leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want them because he wants to do it. This is by Dwight Eisenhower. And one of the famous personality of whom I'm a big fan since my college days is Steve Jobs. Everyone might be knowing Steve Jobs. If you don't know Steve Jobs, then look at your Apple phone. Automatically, you will get answer for it. While leadership is about inspiring others to do things they never thought they could. My friends, Steve Jobs has given this definition. This definition itself says that says that whatever leadership quality which he preached, he always implemented, and that's the reason even after his death, still you can see Apple phone at new heights, because he has inspired that every team member. He has inspired the community through his successive events, through his progress, and that is how he has established a level where no one could have thought of. And that's the reason you could see that there is whatever purpose, the common purpose which Steve Jobs had started, it still prevails even after his death. So just see The definition of Steve Jobs has many things to tell. Well, when I discuss the qualities of leadership, there are a number of qualities of leadership. Let me explain in brief one by one leadership. First one is communication. Now, communication, I believe it is one of the critical factor or critical quality which a leader has to develop, because the leader has to be able to, needs to be able to communicate, relentlessly express himself openly with his team members. And when a leader is able to relentlessly, able to openly talk to his members, discuss with his members, with his teammates, then I believe that that trust factors grows over here. The trust factor between the team member as well the team leader. And this particular quality, that's the reason this particular quality is termed to be as a foundation of any leadership. And the important part of communication is, let's listen more and talk less. Let's listen more and talk less. Listen. You talk to when I say the word talk less, that doesn't mean that you need to communicate with your team members. You have to communicate openly with your team members. But there is a quote, you all know that there is a quote by Dale Carnegie saying that if you want to win a friend, or even if you want to win an enemy, talk about themselves, talk on them, and automatically they will listen to you. Do you all agree with it? Because when we talk about someone else, automatically this acts as a magnetic factor. This act as a magnetic factor. Automatically people tend to attract towards you. Automatically people tend to attract towards you. And I'm quite sure with this that people, I do agree with this point. Listen more. People like to listen. I'm sure with this point that people tend to show more interest, and automatically when you're pulling people towards you, this will act as an important factor to build trust, to build mutual understanding, to build strong bonding. And let me tell you, if you don't do this, it is you who are going to be a loser, not your members. Because if you're not able to attract your team members towards you, then automatically your vehicle which you have started to move towards, or the bus within which you all are sitting, as a leader, you are the driver of the bus, right? And the passengers, that is your team members who are sitting right next behind you, if you don't automatically attract them through this quality, then I'm quite sure that your bus brakes will get fail for sure, and you will end up into meeting an accident. Your dream would be shut down, my friends. So that's the reason communication, it is very important, and it acts as a foundation of any leader. 5 tips for effective communication are: communicate relentlessly, simplify and be direct, listen and encourage input, illustrate through stories. People like stories now. Those days are gone, earlier days are gone, but see that those stories have that charismatic factor. I'm repeating again, please see that stories have that charismatic factor where people tend to get automatically attracted towards you. And third one, affirm with your, and the fifth one, affirm with action. So these are the 5 tips for effective communication. The very second, the very second quality is integrity. What he said that integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Now let's be honest and ask ourselves that do we do right things at all time? Do we do right things at all time? We should need to ask ourselves because as a leader, without integrity, no real success is possible because you cannot expect your followers. I'm sorry, you cannot expect your followers to be honest to you when you are not honest to yourself. How it is possible? You should always follow your words. And when you are honest to yourself and when you are honest to your followers, then only you have the right to expect your followers to be honest to you. That's the reason we say that integrity is a cornerstone of all the leadership qualities. It is one of the core value, my friends. And it is must for every leader to undertake effective leadership. What to do? Highlight the work. Highlight the work done by the team members. Apologize yourself for mistake. Give the benefit of doubt to your followers in certain condition situation. Appreciate people. हिंदी में एक कहावत भी कहा जाता है कि अगर आप किसी की प्रशंसा ना करें, अगर आप किसी की प्रशंसा करें तो सबके सामने खुलेआम कीजिएगा। अगर आप किसी की प्रशंसा करें तो सबके सामने खुलेआम कीजिएगा, पर अगर किसी को आप डांटना चाहे तो उसे बंद कंदरों में कह दीजिएगा। This sentence has a lot of meaning, my friends, and that's the reason you need to appreciate. So integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching, and it acts as a core value on which the leadership is based. The third one is accountability. What does Arnold Glasgow says? Arnold Glasgow says that a good leader takes a little more than his share of the blame and little less than his share of the credit. What does this mean? This means since you are a leader, that doesn't mean that you are going to enjoy only prophet. Since you are leader, that doesn't mean that you are going to share only the credit. It also means that you need to be like a partner, like a partner. And what does the partnership did say is that one has to share profit and losses. Everyone should be equally accountable for any event. Everyone should be an equally accountable. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि अगर कुछ अच्छा आ जाए तो उसे कह देगा कि मैंने किया है, ये मेरी वजह से हुआ है, और अगर कुछ बुरा हो जाए और अगर आपका प्लान ना चल जाए, अगर कुछ बुरा हो जाए तो ये मत कहना कि ये मेरे टीम के सदस्य ने किया है. Please keep in mind, we are living in an empowered era. Along with every team member, you are also equally accountable for your goal. That's the reason I use that word common goal in my meaning of leadership. Try to take less credit, give more share of credit to your team members, and take less credit for success. That's what, take less credit for success, give more to your members, and take more credit for failure and give less credit for failure to your team members. This is what this accountability has to say. Next one is empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is understanding. And when I say understanding, if you ask me my personal life, then my wife and my mother are very understanding to me. That's the way they are showing empathy towards me. Since my childhood, it was my mother who used to always understand me. My father too also used to understand me, but the more was, why example I'm giving of mother is that because the moment I used to visit, I used to come from my school, the very at point of time when I used to reach home, my mother used to be ready with lunch. She is not bothered whether I have already eaten something in school or while coming. So on the way to school, I have eaten some patties or pakoras or kachoris or samosas or any fast food. She wants me to complete the entire food. Just see the understanding between mother and a child. She knows everything. And a true leader has to develop, this quality, that is empathy. You need to understand your followers, you need to understand your team members. It's not possible to get your goal without understanding your members, without keeping them happy, my friends. You need to understand their feelings. You need to motivate them. You need to understand their hope. You need to realize them. You need to understand their dream. You need to understand their problems. You should live like a parivar. And that is how you can strengthen your leadership, by this particular quality, that is empathy. As you can see in my PPT, that negotiation, collaboration, creativity, appreciate the creativity. Take input from your subordinates. It should not be might is right. I'm sorry, wrong. Those days are gone. One can't misuse the positions. We have a very strong law in our country, and I do believe in judiciary of my country. Although it gives late justice, but still it gives. And I'm proud of my judiciary of our country. Do not misuse your positions. Treat your subordinates, treat every member of your team at your workplace, at any organization, right from bottom to top, as your family member, as a parivar. That's why I say that negotiation, collaboration, creativity, feeling safe, emotional connection, identifying needs. You need to understand the need of your workers. And let me remind you, empathy is not just being nice. Just because you are nice to everyone, that doesn't mean that you have gained this quality. You should be able to make better predictions, inspire loyalty, keep your loyal subordinates happy, negotiate, appreciate creativity, give fruits to their hard work. And all this together is an empathy. And that's why I have used this word as understanding. To add this, on this particular quality, I have an example which I experienced recently. I experienced in the last week, and this is a coincidence that I experienced this incident, and then I'm asked by Miss Priya Kudav through Shripad Marathi to give a lecture on this, and a classic example. Wow, what an example which just now has struck in my mind. So I would like to share with you all. I'm very fond of having chicken. I'm very fond of having chicken tandoori at home. So when I use tandoori, when I cook tandoori, I need to poke it to those long sticks, correct? And along with that, you need to have charcoal where you have to prepare barbecue. So I had gone to purchase charcoal in one of the shop. Once my college gets over at around 1:45 p.m. So I directly went on my bike from my college. While returning home, I thought in evening I'll prepare tandoori and keep for everyone. So I just went directly to a charcoal shop, and I found it to be locked. I started knocking the door because I started getting a small sound that I knew someone is there inside. I was I could hear the voice of some workers speaking among them, discussing on some their day-to-day issues which we normally speak in our day-to-day life. And when I was knocking the door, they didn't open. I got angry. I got angry. I just kept quiet. And I said that I'm going to complain against these workers to the owner of this shop. Since I know him, I'm going to teach these workers a lesson because I have come from so far to collect this charcoal, and these people being sitting inside are quiet and are not ready to open the door even when customer is waiting outside. And we in our typical marketing language we term customer as God. So I went home. And again, after taking a nap, I came back in evening at around 4 p.m. and went to purchase the charcoal. At that point of time, I told him, I started complaining about his workers to him that I was waiting outside for 20 minutes and your workers didn't open the door. Is this is how the way you all deal with customer? You know what that owner told me? Since he was a known person to me, he holded my hands, took me outside at the entrance of their shop, and showed me a board put up there. You know what was written on that board? On that board, it was written, please, please, kindly note, our lunch time is from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Our lunch time is from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. We respect our food. We respect our food. So kindly don't allow us to insult our food by expecting us to get up and provide you goods during these hours. I was literally surprised, my friends, that wow, I mean to say that what can be a better example than this of empathy? And he told me, the owner told me that his workers travel in train from Dudh Sagar. There's a beautiful place in Dudh Sagar at the border of Goa. They travel in train by 1.5 hours. They have and they reach here by 7:30 morning, and they leave around 5:45. And they have just one cup of tea and they work for him. And that's the reason 1 hour is only for lunch. He told me, you just purchase 2 kilo of charcoal. If he had also come to purchase 20 kilo or 50 kilo of charcoal also, I would have not given you, because I would have told you come later, since it is a lunch break time. And for me, workers are everyone. We are working like family. I was literally surprised that so much respect, so much of empathy to labor class people too. And that's a classic example, one of the example of a leader, of a leadership which I came across. Empathy. We need to understand our need. We need to negotiate, collaborate, creativity, feeling safe, emotional connection, and again, identifying needs. Humility. Pride makes us artificial, and humility makes us real. See, leadership is not an affair of self promotion, it is an affair of promotion of team. But we tend to being an human being, so naturally, there is a chance of we being tend carried to a snob appeal. We try to use our position to influence others. But let me tell you, my friends, you can't influence by your status or by position. You can influence only and only by your personal qualities. Please keep in mind that then era has changed, and it is truly said that when you earn status, when you earn that position, success takes you to a different level of arrogancy and attitude. where you being carried away by it and exploitation of same takes place. Instead of promoting your team, we tend to promote ourselves. But one thing I would like to tell you in Hindi, जीवन में कोई भी कुदरत से ताकतवर नहीं होता मेरे दोस्त। जीवन में कोई भी कुदरत से ताकतवर नहीं होता है। चिड़िया कीड़े मकोड़ों को खाता है, चिड़िया कीड़े मकोड़े को खाता है और वही कीड़े चीड़े को बाद में खा जाता है। What does it means? That how much ever a strong leader you might be, but you are not as strong as the time and nature. Please keep in mind. A bird might feed on insects, but once that bird die, an insect will feed on those birds. Please keep in mind. And what does this success? What does this success means? Money, lifestyle, home, name, and fame. But you should remember one point. My friends, you should remember one point, that after your death, everything changes. You dedicate your entire life to earn all these things and tend to become arrogant and tend to cultivate an artificial life. But after your death, your name is no more with you. You are called as late. Your fame is no more with you. Your lifestyle, that is your attire, is nothing but that that kafan which we call in Hindi. And your home is graveyard. मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि आपके मृत्यु के बाद आपका जो नाम है, आपकी जो शान है, वहां पर स्वर्गवासी जुड़ जाता है। घर के सामने शमशान घाट का नाम लिखा जाता है और लाइफस्टाइल के बदले कफन आ जाती है। सो प्लीज कीप इन माइंड दैट हाउ मच एवर success you might have tasted through this leadership. As a leader, be human being. Don't live in this artificial life. Live in a real life, and humility makes us a real person. Sixth point, which I would like to discuss, is resilience. The true grit of a leader is not how they perform during good times, but how they roll up their sleeves and produce when times get difficult. What does this mean? See, my friends, life has different phases. It's just like our economy, ups and downs. Everyone wants to taste good times. Nobody wants to taste bad time. But as a leader, you need to able to face the bad times more competitively, more patiently than the good time. A great leader always should rally behind his team members, whatever the situation might arise in the future. She needs to be optimistic. I'm very fan of watching you. I'm very fond of watching YouTube videos and motivational videos, and I just love the lifestyle, and I just love the story of Jack Ma. Everyone knows Jack Ma, CEO of founder of Alibaba, and I'm quite sure to discuss with you all that story of Jack Ma. I'm quite sure you are going to like that story of Jack Ma. Jack Ma's partner, who is named as Judy Tong. Judy Tong, she was actually an employee of Jack Ma, who always had faith on her leader, that is Jack Ma, and Jack Ma always had a faith on his employee, that is Judy Tong. Jack Ma tasted initially more of failures than success. And the most learning and interesting point in the story of this Jack Ma is that being they both together in this tasting bad time, bad situation, they both stick together. And the reason for they being both stick together was because the great leader, Mr. Jack Ma, took the lead, still took the lead, continued with it, and focused on solution rather on just mere discussing the problems or issues. So please keep in mind that resilience plays a very important role, or is one of the quality of a leader. Seventh one is vision. Vision is the art of saying what is invisible to others, by Jonathan Swift. If a leader has no vision, then he would be always beating the bush. There is no point in that, because through his vision, he should be able to influence his members. And vision is one of the aspects related to a person. That's why I mentioned before that it is the personal quality which can influence your followers, which can influence others who are reeling behind with you. So one has to develop a vision, and it needs to be forward, and it will be taken forward only when the leader is able to influence his followers. Eighth one is influence. Influence. I told you, position, status will give power. Position, status will give power. But it is your personal qualities which can influence people to work for you by heart, my friends. And what does this say? It says, clearly state what they want. Connect with people emotionally. Make others feel important. Be vulnerable and charismatic. Work towards the commonly shared goals. As I said, when the goals will be common, then only the goal would be able to achieve. Otherwise, your followers would just end up working for monetary and non-monetary benefits. Ask for suggestions, ask for input. Build real lasting relationship with your followers. Then only you will be able to develop a strong trust factor and bond. Act professionally on social medias and have self-awareness. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm some issue here. Apologize again for that. I shall continue now.
Yes.
So let me again start with this point, that is positivity. As it's mentioned on my PPT, that even the calmest workplace can be stressful at times. It's more important how leaders react to this stress with a positive outlook rather than get frustrated and place blame. See, let me tell you one thing. There is always a silence before storm. And when we visit any office or any workplace, the environment might be looking as sweet as if it is an honeymoon period. But let me tell you, whatever the situation it might be, tensed or happy, or if series of things are working in your favor or not, it is your positivity, it is your positive factor which will keep the leader right on the driver's seat in this business, my friends. You need to work with positive attitude, just like our ex-captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who is termed as Mr. Cool. I hope you all remember that T20 match, T20 World Cup match, where Joginder Sharma was bowling to Pakistan batsmen. And that was a shot by, if I'm not wrong, it was Misbahul Haq. I'm not remembering his name. I feel it is Misbahul Haq, who gave, who flicked through his unique shot towards fine leg deep. And there, Sri Sant caught the ball. And that is how we won the World Cup. And Joginder Sharma had given lot of runs in his previous over. So just see how still positive and calmly Mr. Cool, ex-captain of our Indian cricket team, Mahendra Singh Dhoni ji, handled the situation and brought World Cups to, as well as laurels to himself, team members, as well as to our country. Delegation, it means you need to be more essential and less involved. Please keep in mind, the great leader elevate their team members, not himself. Whatever might be the situation, he would like to uplift their members, not himself. And that is a true quality of leader. So what does this process include? This process includes choose an appropriate task, choose an appropriate task, set clear objectives and plan, implement, monitor, and evaluate your review. So delegation is essential. And the last one is confidence. 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 Please keep in mind, when you are leader, you need to be confident of yourself. You need to be confident of your vision, your mission, your goals. You can't expect you to gain the confidence of your team members when you yourself do not have confidence about yourself. When you do not have confidence within you, then how are you going to gain confidence of your team members? That's the reason confidence plays a very important role for a true leader to initiate an effective leadership. Please keep in mind, one of an athlete, Mr. Olympian, who has won who has bagged several title of Mr. Olympian, Russell Arnold, who is basically from Austria, who was born and grown up in a war-ravaged country. His parents were farmer, but still he had a dream. He had a confidence. He had his plan that one day he would move to America. He would win Mr. Olympian title, and also he would act in Hollywood and become one of the highest paid actor. In spite of having so much of limitations initially, his monster body, his accent, his name, his acting skills, he started working that limitation within that limitation. That's the beauty, my friends. That's the confidence. And he converted those limitations into his advantage. Do go through his videos to motivate yourself. And he proved that it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter to whom you belong to, it doesn't matter what you are, it doesn't matter from where you are. What matters is how much confidence you have within you as well as your goal. With this, I end up today's talk on journey towards your goal through effective leadership. I once again thank Priya Kudao ma'am as well as Shilpa ma'am and all the faculties as well as principal of St. Vincent Pallotti Institute for giving me this opportunity to deliver a talk in one of the upcoming college in Bangalore, Karnataka. I have a special attachment to this city of garden as my mother is basically from Bangalore. So it was a privilege for me. She is from if I'm not somewhere Yalanka. They call it Yalanka. So it was an honor for me. It was an honor for me to present my view among the students of Bangalore of this college. I once again thank everyone. Thank you very much. You can, in case any question, you are please free to ask. You can contact me. You can WhatsApp me. Thank you once again for giving me opportunity, for this lovely opportunity to present my view. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening session. Your presence and experience gave more meaning to it. Moving on to the question and answer session, I call upon Dr. Deepa Singh to take over the session.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Kunal sir, it was a captivating presentation, flawless. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's like I am feeling, I cannot express even my feelings. Literally, it was full power packed presentation with patriotism, emotions, energy, everything was there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now,
Thanks a lot.
yeah, I have some questions for you, sir.
Yeah, please.
Some students asked and some faculties also. So
Yeah,
first question is, how do you monitor the performance of the people that you have to lead?
Okay, now, very important thing, when you are leading the people, when you are leading your followers, you are leading them with a common goal. So, based on the achievement of your objective, based on the achievement of your common goal, one can assess the performance of your followers or of your team members.
Yeah, correct, sir. So, next question is how to nurture the leadership skills? Can we do that?
Of course, we can, because I said that leaders are not born, leaders are made. And it is the duty of every educated citizen of this society to allow our students, to allow youth, to motivate them, to teach them that you can't give mere excuses. Excuses looks very beautiful, but I'm sorry, one has to come out of all those limitations and to work. And the day when we create a youth, when we are teaching our students, and the day when we will be succeeding in creating a society where people will stop giving excuses and start working towards it, that day itself, I'll tell you, we are able to nurture leaders, ma'am.
Correct, right, sir. So, one very important question actually from our students in this question is like how to demonstrate our leadership skill during a job interview.
How to demonstrate your
Leadership
leadership?
skill. Like if interviewer is asking, demonstrate your leadership
Okay, fine.
with an example, then how we can do that?
Okay. I was appointed. I'll just share. Can I explain this? Can I give answer with an example?
Sure, sir. Why not?
Okay, fine. Okay. Uh, I joined my college, the place where I work. It's a very rural interior part of Goa. And I'm very thankful that today at least range is there. Range was there up to now. But
Right.
I'll tell you one thing I'll tell you. When I joined here, there was a need. By management had told us that we are taking y'all since only reason is since y'all are youth, we want you to work for this institution as we want to give education to downtrodden students of this interior part of our village. So, as an assistant professor in commerce, I tried my level best to lead in whatever work which was assigned to me. That is how you can demonstrate your leadership skill in your class as a teacher. If you are NSS coordinator, then as a convener you can lead. If you are coordinator of IQSA, then you can lead. Over there you can show your leadership skill, you can demonstrate it. So as soon as, ma'am, when your heart and mind becomes a part of this common goal, which has been developed by the leader, automatically, as a team member, you will be able to and you will start demonstrating your leadership skills.
Okay, sir. Then next question is actually it is all about your experience. We are very happy to listen from you your experiences. You have very good experiences in life. So that one question is for you that what is the biggest challenge you faced as a leader and how did you overcome that?
The biggest challenge which I faced was I would not say poverty. The biggest challenge which I faced was favoritism.
Right.
Biggest challenge which I faced, I was an under 15 cricketer who represented Goa Cricket Association. Soon after that, I was thrown out from under 19, but still I tried my level best to participate, to score runs. And when I started, when I was a student and before pursuing this profession, I thought this profession, is as sweet as it looks. But I'm wrong. But I was wrong. I'm not criticizing anyone, but I'm just sharing my experience. Favoritism do exist in every profession.
So
Favoritism
actually, it exists everywhere.
do exist,
Everywhere.
but please keep in mind, no one can write anyone's destiny. It is you who will design your destiny. It is you who will write your own destiny. Because when I was preparing for net set exam, I had failed once by just 1%. And I had worked a lot for initially. I have just 4 years of teaching experience. When I was working hard for in my MCom second year, there was my other friend who was just roaming around, and he cleared. He cleared. And I was sitting in an hotel having tea. I used to go to district library to study, and I was sitting having a sip of tea. Over there, I saw a person who didn't had hands, whose both hands were amputated, and I was wondering how this person will have a sip of tea. Can you imagine? He lifted his cup of that glass of tea by his legs. He took this as a challenge that although I don't have my hands, I will make my legs so much flexible that I will have cup of tea by using my legs. My foot if I speak normal, no one will believe it. But when this was witnessed by me, it was a turning point in my life. And there I made a mind that how much ever favoritism exists in today's life, in today's market, in today's source of appointment, whatever it is. I'm going to fight against this favoritism. I'm going to fight against all these situations, because please keep in mind, when you have planned to work for yourself for success in today's competitive world, one can't give excuses of favoritism. One can't give excuses of infrastructure. One can't give excuses of poverty. I'm sorry for that, because we have a girl who was living in slum from Mumbai, who became CA and came first all over India, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
We
yes.
have girls who have been born and brought up in brothel, whom we call in Hindi as chakala. They have been in red light area, who have born and brought up and have earned scholarships on their own and have moved to foreign universities and completed their education. Then what is my problem? I'm in front of such people.
Really.
So, so one has to understand this, that no one can destroy anyone, neither no one can create anyone. It is you and only you who can create yourself and also destroy yourself. It's all about how you play in this life. It's all about how you take things moving around in your life. Wherever जहां पर शहर है वहां तो गंदगी तो होती होती होगी. ऐसा
एकदम सर.
नहीं है जहां पर गंदगी नहीं है. तो हमें इस गंदगी को दूर करके उस शहर में रहना है. So this is what I have to say.
Yeah, very nice, sir. Thank you, sir. And next question I have, that is, how do we delegate responsibilities effectively?
Okay, how do we delegate responsibility effectively?
Yes, sir.
The very first part, before delegating the responsibility, you need to be aware of what you are going to do. You need to be aware what activity are you going to undertake. You need to do your homework properly. And it should be like how if the person who is meant, if a person who is very good in organizing skills should be given work of organizing. If a person is very good in comparing, he should be given comparing. Means as per the interests of your member, you need to delegate the duties or what authorities or duties to them, because when you have confidence about your concept, about your view, about your goal, the very first part when you're explaining the work, you need to have confidence about your work. And when you have confidence, then only your team members will show confidence within you. And when you delegate work to them, the responsibility to them, automatically you should give in such a manner that that person will consider it as a common goal and consider it as a responsibility and do it taking interest, do it by heart. That is how it works.
Okay, so one, it doesn't mean it's mean like we should see the comfort zone of a person while.
No, it's not the comfort zone of a person. I'm not saying the comfort zone of a person. It is just like if suppose if Mahendra Singh Dhoni was very good cricketer,
Right.
right? He played cricket, he slept cricket, he ate cricket. But what would have happened if sitting his cricket as a comfort and if his father would have not supported him?
Yeah.
We want everyone, right? We want everyone. We want all sorts sections of people. We want good cricketers. We want good fashion designer. We want good architects. We want good engineers. We want good teachers. So I believe it is not the comfort zone. I believe it's all about their area of interest in which one has to achieve excellency as it is a need of an hour because we live in a very competitive world now.
Okay, sir. So next question is, what are the simplest ways we can identify leadership skills in a person and how to carry forward the values of leadership?
Okay, this is you are asking as a point of view as a leader of your subordinates or in general?
As a leader?
Okay, fine. As a leader, so how to identify the leadership skills among your subordinates?
Yes.
When you are discussing things with your subordinates and when you are allocating duties to your subordinates, as I said, that if that person, if that subordinate is given his area of interest, then automatically he will try to work, he will try to work with heart. That means, in my previous question, he will try to exercise or demonstrate his leadership skills, as I discussed this in previous question. And this demonstration of leadership skills will help the leader to identify the leadership skills among his subordinates. So automatically, when you are asked to, when you are allocated duty of your area of interest, so that actually makes a person to work. So when he undertakes work, when he is part of any progressive work, automatically he will demonstrate his skills, right? So this is how one has to identify it. Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah.
So next question is,
Yeah.
how can we improve the leadership quality?
The best people. How can we improve the leadership quality?
Yes, sir.
I believe it is the life it is life which makes to improve your leadership qualities, because when you are exposed to several tough situations, this will lead to increase your competency. And when your competency will increase by facing tough situations, This will help you to take correct decisions during tough time.
Yes. It means that exposure and struggle.
Of course, exposure, struggle, and failure. You need not
Yes.
need to taste always success.
Right,
It's too
right.
much of success is good. You need to taste exposure. You need to taste failure. You need to taste every taste color of life, and that is how you will be able to exercise your leadership skills effectively.
Right. So, how to overcome leadership crisis?
Leadership crisis.
Crisis, yes, sir.
Okay, I would like to say the word crisis only in case when things are not working as per the team's desire. That means whatever the goals, whatever the objectives of our team, which we had framed, is not being getting achieved. So the very first part during your leadership crisis, that is a time of crisis, perseverance is very important. If you see biopic of a sports biopic of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, ma'am, you will in that scene, he was sitting in a on a railway station,
Yes,
very
sir.
frustrated with his day-to-day life, and he was saying that his game is not improving.
Right.
So boss came and what he told that जब तेरे को बाउंसर पड़ता है तो क्या करता है? He said डक करता है तो वही कर.
Right, right, right. Correct, sir.
You can't expect every time ये वक्त मेरा है. You can't say all the time. I'm sorry. Because let's speak factually, let's speak practically. In theory, we can speak anything, but at your crisis point of time, patience and perseverance is very important. This you will learn even from the life story of great leaders like Jack Ma, Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai. You go through, stories, inspirations, stories of several people. So I believe that at time of crisis, one has to have patience, perseverance, rectify your mistakes, accept it if it is. Accept the mistake if it is. We are human beings, tend to do it. But accepting it and rectifying it is very much important. And wait for the correct time. And once the correct time arrives, you just bang on target.
Right. Sir, it's like that कि हर बॉल पे छक्का नहीं पड़ेगा.
ऐसा कैसा होगा मैम? युवराज सिंह खाली 6 गेंद खेला इसलिए उसने 6 गेंद पे 6 छक्का मारा.
बिल्कुल,
अगर
बिल्कुल,
पूरे
बिल्कुल, सर.
50 ओवर के तो हर बॉल पे तो छक्का नहीं मार सकता है ना.
बिल्कुल भी नहीं, सर, एकदम.
तो सिर्फ हम वीडियो गेम में छक्का मार सकते हैं. अगर अभी बहुत सारे वीडियो गेम्स आ चुके हैं जिसपे हम रिमोट से खेलते हैं,
राइट.
वो बॉल पे छक्का वीडियो गेम पे ही मार सकते हैं, लेकिन रियल लाइफ में तो नहीं मार सकते ना मैम.
बिल्कुल भी नहीं. It's not at all possible.
इट्स नॉट एट ऑल पॉसिबल. सो एज इट इज शोन इन मूवी कि बुरे वक्त पे डक कीजिएगा, वेट फॉर योर टाइम, हैव फेथ, हैव बिलीफ, हैव परसिवरेंस. वन डे और द अदर, हर रात की सुबह नहीं हो, सब सुबह होती ही है.
Yes, sir.
वो चाहे कितनी भी रात काली हो, इस अंधेरे को चीरते हुए सूरज तो उगलता ही है ना मैम.
बिल्कुल सही, सर, एकदम.
So that is what I want to say, that have patience and perseverance and have confidence on you.
The next question I have for you, that is, does perception affect leadership?
Perceptions. Okay. What is perception actually? When I say perception, that is your image impacts leadership. As I was discussing the qualities, as I am discussing the qualities over there, that I said influence. I used the word influence, right?
Yes, sir.
I used the word influence, and I said that personal quality influences your followers. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So this influence creates perception about you among your members. Do you agree? Not
Right,
your
sir.
position. Correct?
Yes.
So now I shall not name it's a hot burning topic, but I shall not name because I'm on a public stage. So I should refrain from naming any
Right.
politician or businessman as such. That to so many people, students are viewing us. It won't good look good because I'm just an educationist.
Better.
And there was a case wherein a great leader of a great, I don't belong to any political party, neither I'm promoting any political philosophy here. I came across through newspaper wherein a resignation was given by one of the highest leader who is at the highest level of one organization,
Yes,
political
sir.
organization, and that same resignation was rejected by her only.
I understood, sir.
So what kind of perceptions are you creating? And that's the reason you will find that there is a rebel among among your followers, and due to these personal qualities, a particular gentleman, unmarried young gentleman, is not able to, although he is youth, is not able to inculcate followers behind him, because through his personal qualities he has created perception about him. This is not, I'm not saying this is people are saying as Papu.
Yes, yes, correct.
So how can there be a strong opposition? So that is how, yes, perception.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's mean perception effects.
of course it do affect.
Yes,
It do affect. When you are a public figure, when you are a public figure, it do affect. One has to take care of it.
yes, sir. So
Okay,
one last question only.
okay, ma'am. Final question. Fine. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Finally, we came
Yeah.
at end. That is, what type of leadership style is important and why?
Okay, ma'am. In our books, when we go, these are syllabus being framed by quite very long time, because when I was in my graduation, when we were learning through our graduation, we
Yes,
had
sir.
all the different styles of management, what leadership style: autocratic, laissez-faire, democratic, participative, and all those stuff. But go to see if you go to see, then situation, as per the situation, one has to implement it, because I believe that this particular definition it needs to be scrapped. It's no more makes sense. You can't generalize it, these styles. It is just like jaisa bhej.
Yes,
Since
sir.
we are living in democratic country and our human laws are very friendly. It's not like China. We are not living in China, where over there it is some sort of might is right. Over there it is communist, if I'm not wrong, and some sort of different mentality. Over there, human resource policies are not friendly as our democratic human resource policies are. So, as per the situation, one has to play it. But I believe, as I told you, that the definition it keeps on changing, because see, if my taste, my preference, is it same which was during my childhood? No.
No, no.
With my change of age, with my change of lifestyle, automatically, with my earning, automatically everything is gonna change. Earlier, I used to have a maida bread, but now since I'm drawing good salary, I want brown bread.
Correct. Correct.
So when my taste is changing, then how can you expect the leadership style to remain the same? automatically looking at the environment, one has to change. Change is a nature's
Law of
law.
nature, sir. Yes, law of nature.
So one has to think about it and accordingly implement.
Right, right. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Kunal, sir. It was nice session with you, and very patiently you answered all questions.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Yeah,
Thank,
thank you, sir.
thank you once again for giving me opportunity to discuss my view. And I am also thankful to Shripad Marathe sir who contacted me to deliver a lecture under MOU. If any thought of any other work, any sort of assistance in future for St. Vincent Pallotti College, I'm always there. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Princey, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I request Ms. Auxilium, Assistant Professor, Department of Science, to propose vote of thanks.
An ignited mind is the most powerful weapon on the earth, above the earth, and under the earth. And this is got through education. First and foremost, we thank the Almighty who has designed and refreshed our souls with a sweet stream of blessing. On behalf of St. Vincent Pallotti College management and students, I would like to express a deep sense of appreciation for Mr. Kunal Borkar for giving an excellent coverage on journey towards your goal through leadership. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this has surely enlightened our minds and has shown us a new path. Thank you, sir. I
Thank
specifically
you,
thank our
ma'am.
yeah. I specifically thank our director, Reverend Father Victor Martis, Principal Mr. Arokyaraj Nicholas, Vice Principal Father Marvin Frank, coordinators, faculties, and the technical team. Words are not sufficient enough to thank all our students for your enthusiasm, willingness, and involvement to set about the academic year successfully. We have many to learn, to live, and to conquer for the days to come. Thank you.
Thanks once again to director, principal, everyone, all faculty members, all my dear students, all viewers. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, sir. As you start a new academic year, may every day hold wonderful learning experience. Wishing all of you the very best for the new academic year. See you all soon at our online classes. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for the cooperation. I hope it was not so bad as yesterday. I'm so sorry. Priya,
Ma'am, can you wait for a
one
while?
mistake.
Secret Heart live streaming is been stopped.
One second, one sec. Can anybody check out?
Did ma'am.
me?